What is the latest, everyone, and welcome to episode number 100 of the In the Paint show presented by Ball is Life. Your hosts, Devin, Ugland, and Ronnie Flores here with you, as always. And Ronnie, high school basketball in Southern California, sanctioned high school basketball, I guess as we could say, or CIF season is finally complete. The Open Division Regional Open Division Regional SoCal final was decided last Saturday, and Etiwanda beat Torrey Pines 65-62. I was at that game. Great high school basketball game. But for me, Ronnie, the season kind of, it dragged a lot, and we're going to have a couple guests on later who are going to, discuss that a little bit and, how they were able to go over to Section 7 and get some college looks. But, it was a good high school game. It was a good way to cap off the season, but the season went long, man. The season went long. What are your overall thoughts about the whole spring summer high school basketball season?
Well, yeah, I thought that I'm glad they got a season in, some type of season. Did it go a little too long? Yes, I would say it went a little too long. I mentioned to some coaches, we were talking about it, and they said, we could have started a little earlier. And I think that's the sentiment. Like even a couple weeks would have been a different. Again, if there was no let them play type of movement and lawsuit, would there have been a season, Devin? Probably not. I don't see it, but I'm glad it happened. But yeah, some Etiwanda, I believe, played 14 games, 11 and did they go
either 12 and 2 or 13 and 2, one of those two.
13 and 2, 15 games. So you got them playing 15 games. They're the regional champs, like you said, and Torrey Pines and Damien played in the regional semifinal at a game we both went to. Damien lost in the regional semifinal. They played 30 games. So that portion, and some LA City schools, Fairfax, I think, went 8-4, the semifinalists, and they played in the regional. They went 8-4. Westchester went about 11-2, 12-2. So the range of how many games people played, it should have been just a set amount of games, and maybe got into the playoffs a little sooner, and didn't really need a week between the sectional final and the last pool play game in the Open. It didn't need a week off. Just play the next game, and get into it. So obviously we can criticize it all day, but there's no point. I mean, there's no point in doing that. But they got through it. Baseball's still going on, amazingly. I know a bunch of teams opted out, Devin. I don't know if you followed that a little bit, but and I don't blame them. We're already at June, 20th, 22nd?
24th, man.
Yeah, people got to move on. School's been out for 3 weeks, for some people, months. So Etiwanda, ironically, again, go back to last year, 2019-20 season, Devin. They lose in heartbreaking fashion. They were up 11 with 2.5 minutes to go. And then Sierra Canyon doesn't get to play in that final, right, after that miraculous comeback. Well, Etiwanda finally gets over the hump. They were 0-5 in regional finals. They lost in 2-18 to Sierra Canyon as well at the Pyramid, a game me and you were at. And now they don't get to play in the state final. It's just ironic. Like they don't get to play in the state final. There is no state finals. We know there's no playoffs up north. Only the Central Coast section played a section open, and then they stopped. That was Mitty versus Archbishop Reardon. Mitty went on to play in Section 7. They didn't have to drop out of no regional. Their season was over after the section level. Mitty did a good job, and Mitty was in one of the divisions. They went to the final. We'll talk a little bit about that later. There was like 11 divisions, I believe, at Section 7. Overall, really great event. Really positive feedback just from the way the event went. And, overall, it was at State Farm Arena in Glendale, where the Arizona Cardinals play. Big production, a lot of moving parts, but the teams were, played well, and got a chance to play in front of a couple hundred college coaches, at least at the D1 level, and obviously at the lower level as well. We'll go over that as much as we can. But, yeah, to close the point on the season, very interesting. Division 1 AA, the regional actually was doubled, 8-team brackets in the CIF regional. And with that being said, one AA went to St. John Bosco. And it was pretty evident that Rebay Academy, based on the seedings, was going to have a chance to go to the final. And they did go to the final. And Bosco won that division. Devin, I think you kind of followed a couple of the lower divisions pretty close. Santa Fe Christian came up in division. Was that 1A or was that 2AA?
That was 1A, I believe.
Yeah. It beat Crean Lutheran in Santa Margarita in the 2A, right? All Orange County final. And then Santa Fe Christian won 1A.
They beat Capistrano Valley, in 1A.
Yeah, so great job by Santa Fe Christian. They kind of just beat 3 higher-ranked teams in their region in 1A. 1AA featured a lot of the top-tier teams that did make the Open. And obviously, Birmingham got put in the Open as winning the LA City. Torrey Pines got put in the Open. They got a bye. Birmingham played Sierra Canyon. Sierra Canyon lost to Etiwanda. Very interesting. They lost at the same score to Etiwanda that they beat them by in the last pool play game to get in the final against Corona Centennial. That's the big game Corona Centennial wanted to win, was the Southern Section Open Division final. They did, and then they made the decision, as we had Coach Josh Giles on our episode 99. He talked about that decision was made a long time ago, not during the beginning of the Open Division, like that. Oh, we might win this. Let's not go to Section 7. And that's what you said. They made that decision. That's the big win they got. I'm sure our guests will share some of those sentiments, what they thought, and obviously some of their recruiting. But big night for Corona Centennial on that Saturday night, Devin. I'm sure they were following that Torrey Pines Etiwanda game to some extent. I don't know if they were able to watch it or, maybe see a stream or watch it on Valley Sports. I'm not sure. I don't think so because they were in Arizona, but we'll find out. But sure, they followed it. And once that was Saturday night, and they were in a semifinal game of their own. And, Corona Centennial played Durango. Interesting day. For Durango has a very good team. Sebastian Mack had a good tournament. I'm sure his recruiting's picked up. The guard from Durango High School, who you've watched many times, Devin, and went to 4 overtimes. And Devin, just because it was a live evaluation period, some of the guys would just say, okay, 1 overtime and maybe sudden death on the second one if it goes. No, right. They played the 4 overtime.
That's good. The closer these games are to real high school games, the better it is for college coaches to evaluate, and we all know that already. Let's jump back into kind of Dave Kleckner, Ronnie, real quick before our guests jump on, which are Kylan Boswell and Jared McCain, 2 of the kind of hotter names on the recruiting boards across the country.
Sure.
Corona Centennial High School, but. I sent you the interview I did with Kleckner. You asked me to interview him real quick just so you could have some things to go on for your final, California high school rankings or Cal High Sports. Did you listen to the whole thing? And,
I did.
Okay, and did anything stand out to you? Because one of the things that stood out to me was I asked him, how good it was to get over the Sierra Canyon hump because they had lost to him so many times in a row. And then if he was disappointed or if it stung at all that after winning his first Southern California regional and getting a crack at a state title, he's not going to be able to get a crack at that state title. And he said no. He said he's taking the season for what it is and he's happy with the outcome and what they were able to do this season. What were your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I listened to that, and he said he did mention last year and Devin, that's they've had a lot of time to marinate on that. They've had a lot of time to sit on that. That had to hurt. That's one of the most devastating losses, if I'm looking at it from the perspective of the team that lost, that I've ever seen, in the last 25, 30 years. Even when I was a kid or just saw as a spectator as a kid or any high school game, that was to be on the losing end of that game was probably pretty devastating for some of those players, the way it happened. Obviously, Jemai Mashak, who's at Tennessee now, was on that team. A few other guys. Obviously, they graduated some guys like Cameron Pierce. But some of those guys were able to come back to help this team, and that was definitely in their back of their mind. As Kleckner mentioned that. He said, it was devastating loss. They've lost in a regional final before, as I mentioned, but the way they did that. So for them to get over the hump, to have that motivation, that was really good to see from their perspective. And here's what I thought, honestly, Devin, is if Etiwanda beat Sierra Canyon, which they did, they were going to be totally loose. They were going to play, quote unquote, with house money. All the pressure swings back towards Torrey Pines. Torrey Pines is 30-0. They're trying to set history, trying to go down as one of the best teams in San Diego County and San Diego section history. Obviously, the San Diego section started around 1960, and then they got into their own playoffs a few years later, separating from the southern section. I don't know if you knew that, Devin. Almost all the San Diego teams were in the southern section at that time. So then they broke off into their own section. And obviously we started the state tournament in 1982 with every section in it. And in 1982 till now, no San Diego team had ever been in the major Division I open/open final until this Torrey Pines. So that's a hell of a team, and that's a lot of pressure too. You got to win, where the other team is like, hey, we just beat Sierra Canyon. Let's just go in there and play basketball. I don't know. You were there, Devin. Did you notice any of that?
In the first half, they were playing loose. They were hitting threes, and Etiwanda, as we know, is not the best or most consistent 3-point shooting team. Sure. And they hit 7 threes in the first half. All good looks, all driving kicks, really good offense. But as we know with Torrey Pines and Etiwanda goes through scoring slumps or scoring, minutes or even a quarter where they score a handful of points, and that's kind of what happened in that third and fourth quarter. Was they took a 19-point lead, Ronnie, Etiwanda did, in the third quarter, and all of a sudden, man, the tide just kind of changed, and Torrey Pines started battling back, hitting shots. Nick Herman, really great player, big time. He had bone cancer and missed an entire year, and came back, and he was just spectacular this season. And in the game, he was spectacular. He had over 20 points, and he led a comeback effort. And it came down to, a final possession type of game. And Etiwanda just, I think I posted a video on my Twitter of the final play. Nick Herman was coming around a screen up at the top to the right wing. Yep. And he just slipped, and they couldn't get a shot off. And that was kind of the end of the game. 65-62 was the final. Big game from Jemai Meshack. Big game for Torrey Pines from Chris Howell going to St. Mary's. He had, his impact as a passer, initiator, IQ guy is underrated at various levels of high school hoops. But shout out to Torrey Pines, Nick Herman, great effort from those guys down there. And shout out again to Jemai Meshack and Darvell Wyatt left the game early. He got hurt, so hopefully it's nothing serious. And Marcus Green, another huge performance, as he's had many throughout the playoffs, Ronnie.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Marcus Green. Those guys, Meshack and Marcus Green, had 20 apiece against Sierra Canyon. And then Green had 22 and Meshack had 21 against Torrey Pines. So I wanted to go over real quick how that left all this, shook all this out from a national perspective. So Centennial moved up to number 1 in the state. I guess the reasoning is they beat Sierra Canyon in a sectional title game, and the previous number 1, which is Torrey Pines, lost. So obviously with Torrey Pines losing to Etiwanda and Etiwanda beating Sierra Canyon, it made sense. So I guess the main thing was what to do with Sierra Canyon and Torrey Pines. And the way it came out was that Centennial would be 1, Etiwanda 2, Torrey Pines 3 in the state, and Sierra Canyon 4. Well, Sierra Canyon did split with Etiwanda, but they lost to Centennial in the game that was the big game that they needed to win.
Yeah.
Whereas Torrey Pines beat Centennial. So that was the main difference. And Torrey Pines advanced 1 round further in the regional and also won a section title. So it makes sense that
real quick, go through your final California top 5.
Yeah. So the rankings for California would be Centennial 1, Etiwanda 2 with the win over Torrey Pines. Torrey Pines 3.
Okay.
Sierra Canyon 4.
Yep.
Damien 5. Mater Dei 6 because of their win over Mater Dei head-to-head. And then moving up would be St. John Bosco to 7. Now, that was also a point of contention there. Did Mater Dei deserve to be behind or below St. John Bosco? Well, at full strength, they beat them. The loss that hurts for Bosco is the loss to Santa Margarita because it cost them the league title. And obviously, Mater Dei didn't lose to Santa Margarita. They swept them. So because Mater Dei won the league title, they split games, obviously. And we never know how good Mater Dei would have been with Wilhelm Breedenbach, who's at Nebraska now, in the playoffs. Maybe they do just as well. Maybe they do better. Maybe they do go further. We don't know. They lost in the first round, obviously, to Etiwanda. Bosco won their 1AA to move all the way up. And again, Rebay is right there. So that's the top 7. And I guess the team that would come in at 8 from the state perspective would be Campo Lindo, which is universal number 1 in Northern California. They were at Section 7. Campo Lindo, I could see, even though they lost one senior, you could see why they did a good job. They lost to Bishop Gorman in the semifinal. We'll talk a little bit about that. 52-50 to Gorman. Bishop Gorman won their semifinal game to take on Corona Centennial. As we mentioned, they beat Durango while Torrey Pines and Etiwanda were duking it out. Centennial's duking it out with Durango.
Yeah.
So Centennial moves up to number 1 in the state while they're in Phoenix. They're being watched by college coaches from all over the country. Then they get into the championship game. So big night for that program. And the girls also won. Shout out to the Centennial girls, Devin. They also won their open SoCal regional on the same night or against Mater Dei at the same time or maybe a little earlier in the day.
They avenged a Southern Section Open loss to Mater Dei on a buzzer beater, and they went to Mater Dei and defeated the Monarch girls team to win the SoCal regional final in the girls.
Huge weekend for the Centennial Huskies program. Our guy Josh Giles, who was our guest last time, and Devin, in over 100 episodes, we've had some great guests. We got to talk about that. Sonny Vaquero. Harrison Barnes, Ramogi Huma, who's talked all about the name, image, and likeness and all the legislation across the country that's happening now with the NCAA. That's going to be a big talking point for the next probably year all across sports. So shout out to him for giving us the insight. Again, I've known him for over 20 years, and he got that thing started 20 years ago. So very interesting. Shout out to all our guests, and shout out to our guests who are going to come on now. They have obviously had a big week. They've seen their recruitment pick up. And they were happy, I'm sure, to win. They went on to beat Bishop Gorman. You could go to ballslife.com and check out my recap. I recapped what I saw a little bit in those top brackets. We mentioned Midi a bit. Midi lost to St. Augustine in that, I would call it the second bracket. They had names, Devin. All About People was the top Section 7 bracket. And the second bracket was the Juneteenth bracket. So obviously we just passed June 19th. Obviously that's a federal holiday now, right? So
it is.
That was one of the brackets. St. Augustine, besides they lost one star. St. Augustine's going to be very good next year, Devin.
They got a lot of young talent. They got a lot of young
talent. Did Mitty loses Pepperdine bound Mikey Mitchell. Derek Sangster, their sophomore wing, is a name that people are going to be talking about that's buzzing. He had a great tournament. The St. Augustine Saints, Coach Mike Pop, has a great team. Ian De La Rosa, 224. He just had a monster game, went off at the right time, Devin. 40 points, 5 3-pointers, 7 rebounds, 5 steals versus Mitty. 78-59 victory. I mean, that's the time to do it. And he had a great tournament. A lot of 224s had a lot of 224 stepped up. Again, after we have our guests on, we'll go over some of those names, Devin. I'll just rattle them off. Obviously I saw, 50 teams, I would imagine. I don't even know how many. I wasn't socializing so much. I was really trying to really watch
You not socializing? If you guys see
Yeah.
me moving around on the camera, it's because I'm sending the links over to Jared McCain and Kylan Boswell to get them on here.
Yeah, no problem. Let's again, thanks for listening, guys, to the In the Paint show for 100 episodes. We're on our 100th, and we're trying to get our guests on. Obviously, we're trying to bring the best in high schools basketball, all levels, but that's what we focus on in recruiting. People want to know who's going where, who's looking at whom we've seen in these months to come. And Devin, it's been a very
look at Jared. Hey, look at Jared. He's got a podcast set up already. Look at him.
Yeah.
He's got the Kobe Jordan All-Star photo behind him. He's done this before.
Yeah.
His brother Jace prepared him for this moment.
Yep, for sure.
Jared,
Thanks for jumping on, Jared.
Good. I'm good. Just got back from practice. Just chilling.
You guys just keep it moving. You designed the rings today. We're waiting for Kylan to hit the link and get in here, but you designed the rings today. How did that go? Was it fun?
That was super fun. Yeah, we just designed the rings. We just got the ring sizing. We're getting the triple XL. So it's gonna
What's that? What does that mean?
There's an XL, there's a double XL, and then there's a triple XL in sizing.
Okay, like the face of it.
All the diamonds and
nice.
Yeah.
Look at him smiling about diamonds. Look at him. Look at
got to.
All right, so did you guys like check out some NBA rings or like the Lakers' last ring or something? Like what?
We had like our football team state championship.
Oh yeah.
He had some college rings. He had a college ring that was like that. It was a 5X.
Jeez.
Yeah. You guys should go to Matt Logan's office, the football coach, and be like, Coach, can I see one of your like 5 rings? Like, what does it look like?
Have now. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Jared, while we wait for Kylan, Jared, kind of discuss just a little bit about this season and how weird it was, how different it was to start so late and then play high school basketball until June.
Yeah, personally, I didn't think we were gonna have a season at all. And when Coach Giles brought it to us, we were already playing with the Hoop Nation, which is basically Centennial. So when he came to us and told us we're gonna have a season, it was kind of like very surprising, but we all had to lock in, refocus, because my main goal, I have it written on my wall on both sides. I wanted to ring. I wanted the CIF championship. So I told everyone we had to refocus and, do all our principles right. And to finish the season off with the championship, that was just, it was a feeling I can't really explain. It was just an amazing feeling. And to know all that hard work had paid off, all those 2-hour practices, all just everything that we worked for, it all came true. So it was an amazing feeling.
Yeah, that has to be a great feeling to get over the hump. Now, I talked to you on Sunday after you guys won your division at Section 7.
Yep.
You kind of mentioned that you didn't think you gelled. Obviously, early in the season, it was a crazy start.
Yeah.
Torrey Pines had a lot of games under their belt. They did a good job. They played a lot of games, and they were cohesive all the way through. Obviously, until they lost the last game, they had a great season. Obviously, Donovan had a concussion or got hurt, and he had to come out of that game. But tell the viewers or listeners what you kind of thought you guys went through that game, and when did it start gelling for you guys that you got better? Obviously, you guys dropped that game.
Yeah, coming into that game, we had just played like some weak team. We played Great Oak, I think, and it was just I felt that was our first test, and we just weren't prepared. We kind of were going off our Hoop Nation stuff still. We were just kind of playing like an AAU team, not Centennial Husky principles. And it's not going to work against Torrey Pines. They're a really good team, really good, really well coached. So when we did that, it was just like a feeling we knew we had to get back to our regular stuff. So we kind of started. That game was just a terrible game, but we got back to it, and I think we played Fairmont Prep after that, which still wasn't our best game. I think we shot, me and Kylan, I think we went like 3 for 17 or something. It was bad, but at least we won the game. So we kind of only started gel back, I would say right after league, I'd say was when we started to go back to our stuff and what we really do at Centennial.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, I was at that Fairmont Prep game, and it was ugly. It was an ugly game. You guys came out with a W, but yeah.
When you walked in, you were like, you learned how to shoot this time. Worst game to go to. I
ask you that question whenever I see you. Would you learn every single time I see you? And you have learned how to shoot because you and Kylan obviously are two of the best young guards, young shooting shooters in not only California but the West Coast in general. You guys were at Section 7. You continued your winning ways. You beat who was that in the semifinal, Ronnie, again in 4 overtimes? Durango of Las Vegas.
Durango. Yeah, Durango. Yeah, talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, that game was crazy.
You guys beat obviously Seattle Prep. You opened with Davis, and then got by Seattle Prep in a tougher game. But then the Durango game on that Saturday was pretty nuts. Talk a little bit about that, and then secondly, talk a little bit about were you guys following the Etiwanda Torrey game at all? Like, just talk about those hours in that game, and then the Torrey game.
When we were playing, it was, I think, well, first off, the Durango game, that was a crazy game in itself. But when we got to the second overtime, I remember we walked out of the huddle, and like we had been there before. We went back to the Rebay game. We had already been here in double overtime before. Like, this was nothing new. So I told everyone that, and Kylan knew what to do. We all knew what to do. So then we went to another overtime, but that was definitely a game that we have experience on this team, but 4 overtimes is definitely something new. Just but yeah, the Etiwanda game, we got back to the hotel room. My brother was he had it on his phone, so we were all watching it in the hotel room, and we obviously wanted Etiwanda to win.
Yeah,
Torrey Pines had in that season #1 in the state, but Etiwanda was up, I remember, or Torrey Pines was up, I think. And I was getting a little nervous. It was time for me to go to bed, but we finally pulled it out. And definitely a great feeling to know that we were the #1 team in the state after that.
Yeah, it was. So Etiwanda had like a 19-point lead in the third quarter, and Torrey Pines, man, they just find a way to battle back. They're really, you said earlier, you said it perfectly, a well-coached team, and they execute what they do, and they don't give up. But yeah, so you guys are paying a little bit of attention to that. But you guys opted out of the regional. You finished your season as the Southern Section Open Division champions with a big win over Sierra Canyon, a team that you guys have played multiple times over the last couple of years, and obviously a team that comes with a lot of hype, a team that has a lot of highly recruited, highly regarded players. How good did it feel to go into their gym in that game that was televised, across Southern California and beat them?
Yeah, it was crazy because I remember we walked into the gym and we got there really early because that was like a 2-hour drive or something.
Yeah,
and
we don't want to go late. Yeah, and
we tried to go on the court, and it was the athletic director told us we can't go on the court yet. And Giles was mad at that one. He came back in the locker room and told us we had to wait in the locker room for like 20 minutes. So we were all he said it was home court advantage when it's supposed to be it's supposed to be at a neutral site anyways. But he was like, home court advantages. So we had to wait. So we were all upset after that. We all had motivation just to win off that. So coming into that game, we knew there was going to be hype. We knew, when Drake came out, LeBron came out, I kind of figured Drake was coming. That's, rapper right there.
Watch you. Drake was coming to watch you, dude.
Yeah, I hope he was.
Yeah. I'm going to add Kylan real quick. There he is.
Hey.
Go ahead, Jared.
How's it going, buddy?
So, that game, we knew it was going to be a bunch of hype and, all the cameras there. But we knew just what Giles said. We had to focus on our principles and focus on what we have to do to win that game.
Yeah.
So, Kylan, we talk about the Sierra Canyon game. Jared thinks that Drake came to watch him. What do you think about
that? When they first came in, I didn't even realize that they came in and stuff. So I was really locked in the game, trying to focus on getting this done for the CIA championship.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Jared was busy doing the celebrity sighting right before the start
they called my name out at the huddle. They called Jared McCain. I was just started smiling at Drake.
Oh man, that's the way to stay focused. But sometimes being loose like that helps. You know what I mean?
That definitely helps me. Just being myself and just being that actually helps. Yeah. I know Kylan is different. Kylan comes out, he's serious. That he don't have.
I was extremely locked in for this game. I cared Drake was there.
Yeah, and it's funny because they didn't win a game when he went. When he went to the 2 games, they lost both of those games. So
great curse.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. Kylan, take us back. You're getting in again, it's been a crazy season. You have AAU that could have started. You have USA basketball. Those things are not going to move their dates. And just like Section 7 was during the regional, and you guys didn't play. You kind of knew you were going to go to the USA 16 and under. What did you tell your teammates? And then, like, Jared, maybe you could chime in, like, how you guys were going to try to win that game against Harvard Westlake. It was on a Monday. It was kind of a Memorial Day. And then they dropped that game, Kylan. So, but talk about your opportunity, and then what did you tell your teammates? Like, come on, guys, we got to get it. Then when you came back for the second and the third game,
I didn't want to leave my teammates, and I wanted to play the Harvard Westlake game. But I mean, Team USA is like a one-in-a-lifetime opportunity, so I mean, I had to go and take it. Before I left, I was telling them, that last year they lost to Harvard Westlake. I think it was like 0-3, and I hope like that was a motivational game, And we just came up short. When I came back, played with Damien, Modern Day, we beat them, and then we got our chance with CIF, and we took care of what we needed to do.
Yeah.
Kylan, how much? Jared, go ahead. Jared, go ahead and give us your thoughts on that.
Especially with Paris, I wanted to win that for Paris. We won 3 with them. It sucks that we came up short. 4th time, it's heartbreaking. That game was for sure personal though, but we couldn't get it done.
Yeah, for sure. Kylan had a little bit of connection issues here. Let me see if we can unmute him now. Kyle, you got some weird noise going on your phone. Yeah. See if we'll mute you until you can find another spot. But yeah, Jared, how cool was it to play in front of all those college coaches? We can get to Section 7 now.
Yeah.
And then, obviously you've gotten offers from Kansas, Texas Tech, a bunch of other schools that people can go on your Twitter and check out all the offers you received. But how cool was it to play in front of all those coaches in that kind of setting?
Yeah, it was crazy because that was like my first time really like playing in front of the coaches like that. I went to go my 8th grade summer, but I wasn't really playing that much, just trying to get my spot on that team. So to play in front of those, it was kind of just like, it was like, whoa, like I'm really in front of all these coaches and I'm trying to perform as well as I can. So it was like one of those feelings you just can't really get it back. So it was a great feeling though.
Yeah, there was a lot of coaches, Devin, as a couple hundred. Obviously you guys play in the championship game against Gorman. You guys get that done. You had Kylan had 17 in the title game. You had 9. Donovan then had 8 points. You guys added to that win 84-64. But even more important than the scoring is you've been offered by Kansas, Louisville. I think Texas Tech is in there with you. USC, LMU, San Diego State. Are those right, Jared?
Yep, that's right.
What was that? Maybe there's more. That's just the ones that I came across.
Yeah. New Mexico. Yeah, LMU. US, San Diego State. You got them.
Yeah, gotcha. And then obviously for Kylan, Kansas, Louisville, USC, UCLA. But it's funny. I don't know if Kylan can hear this or not, but he's kind of, people are like, oh, this guy, he's great. He's the fastest rising player of the nation. Oh, he's so good. Like, he's been good. Where have you guys been? Like, he's been good. It's kind of like, just because you've seen him for the first time doesn't mean he's come out of nowhere.
Yeah.
It's like he had a good season. Like, he's had a good freshman season. Yeah. So it's very interesting. Did you guys kind of get a kick out of that? Especially with you two, it's like, oh, these two are the fastest rising players at this event. It's like, they are.
Right, we're gonna try Kylan again. Hang on one second. Let's see if that weird noise has stopped yet. All right.
A little bit.
Is it making any weird noise?
It's a little better. Let's try it. And
okay.
We were just talking to Jared about Section 7 and all the playing in front of all the college coaches, and what that experience was like for him. What was it like for you?
That's a hard. I mean, we know that going to Section 7, all the coaches are going to be there and stuff. I kind of wanted to go to regional at the same time. I wanted my rematch with Torrey Pines again, but it was a good opportunity for the other guys who don't really get as much tick during the season. Get on the court, get scouted and stuff, and it was a great opportunity.
Yeah, Kylan, before you cut out a little bit, we're kind of laughing that people were saying you were the fastest rising player there. That, oh, this guy is, moving up in all the rankings. And I'm thinking, he should have probably already been on your radar. Did you guys kind of laugh about that, or like, what did you think about that?
Seeing all these rankings come out, and seeing me and Jared not on them, new rivals list came out and stuff. It's just people have their own opinions, and I'm fine with that.
Okay, so you're taking the high route. You're taking the nice route.
Yeah, we just
Sure.
take it as it comes. It's definitely it'll be funny.
Ronnie, I remember I got a call, Kylan, when you first week you moved here from Chicago. I got a call from Coach DeFabius about a guy that he has, Kylan Boswell, and he needs to be at my camp. Ronnie, remember Kylan came to the camp at Beckman, and it was like, oh dang, this guy's really good. We probably need to track this guy. But yeah, it was just really funny to see all the fastest rising stock risers. It's like, no, these guys have been here. They've been doing this for a long time. But Kylan, you got a handful of offers just like Jared. Obviously you're thankful for those offers. Do you think those would have come regardless of if you played at Section 7 or if you played in the regional?
I definitely think that going to Section 7 was how we got our offers. I don't know if we would have got the same amount of offers and stuff if we were playing in our regional.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
That's fair. Yeah, I think that's a good point.
Yeah, I mean, it worked out for you guys. Like we talked about, Jared, a little bit. I interviewed both of you at the event. It's like, hey, if you're at this event, you might as well win, right? Like, you might as well win games at the same time we're getting looked at, and it worked out. So, just talk about that. Like, talk about Saturday night, finding out you guys were number one, and then winning Sunday, and then the girls also won. Just where were you guys' thoughts? Like, hey, we won this title too, you know?
Yeah, I mean, our thought process were just we might as well win this one while we're here, and just get seen by the coaches as we're there. So, and to see to know that we were number one in the state right after that, and then the girls win the next day, that was crazy. Just to know that the public schools we were good over here. Like, I feel like we get overlooked sometimes with the Modern Days and the Sierra Canyons, and to have both the girls and boys win the open division, it was crazy. Yeah.
Did you guys leave the gym real quick? Because I want to ask you, like, who else impressed you? Like, maybe somebody from Gorman, somebody from Durang. Obviously, there's a bunch of players there. Some guys got a lot of scholarship offers, but any other player stand out to you that you either played against or that?
Guard on Gorman, I didn't know he was that young. He's
John Mobley Jr.
Yeah,
John Paul Mobley.
Yeah. And then my guy Aiden Mahaney, he's always impressed me. He's been good since we were young. That's always
from Campolindo. Yeah, they lost to Gorman in a close game.
Yep,
52-50. Yeah, John Mobley can really shoot.
Yeah. I didn't know. Is he from the East Coast?
I want to say he's from the Midwest. He moved to Vegas maybe last year. Yeah. He did really good at some of those events in St. George. They were kind of like a showcase event, Pango showcase events. He was very good.
Yeah, I never put those. I saw him at those Neo Youth camps. I just never know if he's really that good. But and he's
224. So
he
had 6 3-pointers in the first half in one of their games against Centennial of Arizona. Then he had, I think, 6 against you guys. But he didn't have any other field goals. You guys kind of he only had the 6 3-pointers. I don't think he had any 2-pointers, or he didn't get in the key much.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys game planned or you knew much about him coming in.
Yeah, I didn't really know too much about him, but I kind of knew a little bit, but we were just trying to see at that point. So we play in the summer. We're kind of just out there playing. We're not really trying to focus too much on our plays or anything. We're just out there playing. So.
Jared, man, we appreciate your time. Kylan's still making weird noises. Let's see if we can get him back in here for a final comment before he gets out of here. Now, you still got weird noises, Kylan. We appreciate you coming on, man.
No problem. I don't know why my phone's doing this.
It's all good, man. It's all good. I'm sure you'll get a new phone at some point soon. We appreciate you guys coming on, man, and congratulations on all the great games this season and the recognition over at Section 7.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, guys. Good time.
Later. So great stuff from those guys, man. Those kids, those kids are good kids. They're
it's just very funny. Like, even when I took their picture after the event, Devin, like, Kylan is serious and Jared is just smiling ear to ear. That's just how they are. It's Kylan just has a more serious approach, and it works for him, obviously. And Jared likes to be a little more loose, and it works for him as well. Obviously, he has a great personality, and he wants to say hi to Drake before the games, and then beat Sierra Canyon. That's just his personality. So, he mentioned John Mobley. That's a great name to mention, and Devin, as we talk about some of the other good players in the event. He had a really great tournament. Obviously, Gorman is young this year. He's a 224 shooter. They also have, Richardson, who's Jason Richardson, his son. Yep. Jace Richardson, Jase, Jace Richardson. He did a good job, but they didn't have him in the title game, and that might have hurt Gorman a little bit. He got hurt in the semifinal game, or he had to sit out. John Mobley, like I said, had the 18 points. Ryan Abelman, a good lower level prospect and recruit, 6'2" guard, had 14 points for Bishop Gorman in their losing effort against Centennial. Richardson, back to Jace, had 31 in Gorman's first round win over Olympus of Utah. And then John Mobley had 31 in their quarterfinal victory over Centennial. That's the game I mentioned to Jared where he had the 6 3-pointers in the first half. And then college coaches were like, who is – they'd seen enough, Devin. They didn't want to watch the second half. They're like, I'm going to go watch another game. They'd seen enough.
Yeah. He's a talented scorer. He's a gifted scorer.
Yeah, he's a really great scorer. So on that note, I guess we should talk about some of the other players. Obviously, there's a bunch of divisions, like 11 divisions. We can't talk about everybody, but I can talk about as much players as possible.
Run through a list for us.
Yeah, let's just go alphabetically by team because that's how I had it broken down. Obviously, I mentioned Derek Sangster. He's a nice he jump stop shooter, catch and shoot, straightaway. He shoots really well straight away. He's pretty good mid-range games. He kind of moves and reminds me of Kendall Brown, who's going to go to Baylor from Sunrise, that type of player. Player from Beverly Hills High School, Jock Monty, Devin. He's kind of coming on. He averaged 22 points for our guy Jarvis Turner over at Beverly Hills High. Portland, Montana, Irvine, UCSB, those type of level schools are on him. Pepperdine watching him. 6'8", kind of a 4-5 man. Mm-hmm. We mentioned Bishop Gorman. They have a lot of good young players. Darion Williams, the senior, didn't play. But they had Ryder Isala as a guard. He's 224 as well, and they have a 225. Chris Newuli has a chance to be a really good player. He's a 225, 6'7" forward. Again, I'm just going alphabetically by team. Not going in any particular order. This is not the order of how good I thought they performed. Just a list. Brophy Prep, who's going to host the Section 7 finals this upcoming weekend. It's live for another Scholastic weekend, as you know, Devin. Mm-hmm. Armand Mahdi, the mid-major Mountain West type of prospect. He could shoot it pretty well. He's from Brophy Prep in Phoenix. Jared McCain mentioned Campolindo. Aiden Mahaney. Deceivingly athletic, I think. He just moves well, draws fouls, got to the line. He just knows how to play the game. They also have Logan Roberson, a 223, who did very well. And Cade Bennett, high academic guy. From Cathedral, I thought Darius Carr played very well. He's picked up some offers. Mr. Burnside, 224, I believe. Mr. Burnside, strong body.
One of the best names in all of high school basketball.
Yeah, he's improving his skill level. He's got to get his skill level up. They also have Damarian Pouncil, who I thought is a long athlete, a lot of potential. Again, he's not a finished product in terms of where he's going to be as a player, but he's a player to watch in colleges. We're watching him. Oliver Hinder, a kid from Australia, from Corona del Sol in Arizona. I thought he did very well. He's a 7-footer, skinny, but he has a chance, 223. The guy who kind of really came out, and maybe you can touch on him a little bit, Devin, was at Linwood before. He's at Compton High now. Wing, 223. Keon Kenzies, very bouncy, long. People are just intrigued by him. He got offers. I was like, wow. Not because wow is as how of a prospect he is. It's just that the colleges are so enamored, like right away. And then, for me, I was like, let it marinate on the barbecue grill for a little while. But hey, they wanted they haven't seen players in a year and 16 months, Devin, the year and 4 months, maybe since March 2020. So I did notice, I want to talk a little bit about that when it comes to Section 7 was just the camaraderie of the guys. It was good to see some coaches that, they were actually very inquisitive. They wanted to know about guys they didn't. They were asking each other questions. They were asking the scouts questions, whether it's myself, Justin Young, Frank Burleson, guys who had seen guys on the West Coast, Greg Rosenberg. They weren't as close to the vest as maybe as they would be later in the summer. They had to know who players are. They were talking about them, sharing notes. That was good to see. Obviously, it may not be like that all summer, but the first event out, they're trying to get a feeling of who they know and who they need to watch. So I don't know if you've seen Keon much, but what did you think about that when you heard that, like how much buzz he got and like some of the offers he got?
Well, it doesn't surprise me about him getting buzz, and coach is kind of pulling the trigger early on that with him because, like you said, he's a 6'7" long, rangy athlete who looks the part.
Correct.
And has some forward or wing type skill set with ball skills, could shoot a little bit, and is pretty bouncy. So guys like that are going to draw interest. And he didn't play this season in the CIF Southern Section because Linwood opted out of the season. And he was originally at Linwood High School, and they didn't play it all this year. So Keon Kinsey wasn't able to get any in-season recognition. So it's really, I'm glad for him that he was able to get some looks there and get on the court and show everybody that he has, a lot of upside as a 3-man at the next level. And kind of back to your point, Ronnie, it was 16 months since college coaches could watch high school players in a live evaluation setting, right? So you expected a lot of offers to pop off during this type of event because you see these guys and you're like, oh, damn, this guy can play, especially West Coast guys, because schools, East Coast schools and Midwest schools don't really get to see West Coast players with their high school programs, right? It's more so if they're playing EYBL in an East Coast event or an event in the South or an event in Indianapolis in the Midwest, that's when these schools get to see these players. Correct. And seeing these players with their high school teams is a different dynamic than it would be with a club team, just because there's I guess maybe better ball movement or more familiarity or more sharing the ball, more realistic, basketball concepts being displayed during these high school sanctioned events. And that's kind of why I think, a lot of love and a lot of recognition and a lot of offers were given out to these West Coast kids, Ronnie.
Yeah, definitely. I just going to kind of rattle off because, we obviously want to keep it moving. And I got a lot of names too. A lot of teams were there. Braylon Green, kid from Michigan who came over to Coronado in Vegas, 223, 6'3" guard, terrific prospect, probably top 150 prospect, maybe even higher. Let's just go down the list here. Sebastian Mack, we talked a little bit about. He played a real smart game against Corona Centennial, hit some big shots. Shane Thomas, his teammate, lefty, good all-around player. He had a big finish against Centennial, mid-major plus. Sebastian Mack probably tracking up as well. Again, I'm just giving quick snapshots here from my notes. Fountain Valley, Carter Bryant actually got on the court because he'd missed the season with the high school season as he sat out with some nagging injuries or some leg injuries but he was able to play. Played well, I thought. He got on the radar of some people. Again, Carter 6'6", 6'7", wing forward. Roddy Anderson, some coaches were very interested in him. He's obviously 6'1", 6'2" guard, dominant guard, 222 class, and he's going to get some looks. And I wouldn't be surprised if some people pull the trigger on him sooner if they haven't already. Harvard Westlake, who lost in the regional and then shot right over. People were enamored with Cam Thrower, shooting it better, I think now, Devin. I saw them in their regional win over San Joaquin Memorial, but I think people really turned their eyes to him. Landon Lewis is a good 222 prospect at the lower level. Jacob Huggins as well in 23. Brady Dunlap got a lot of buzz about, at what level he can play, mid-major plus high major. He's obviously a high major, but to what level is obviously a great prospect. I think he's very, very good in terms of that 223 class, one of the best in the state. Kid who really came up, I didn't know much about, from Eastside Catholic, Sammamish, Washington, Jacob Coffey, power forward. He can shoot it a little bit, has a nice stroke back to the basket. He's a 224, 6'9". He's going to be a player to watch in the future. I'm sure we're going to talk about him on this podcast again at some point. Well, hopefully we see him at a tournament or something like that. Indercom, Sacramento, Derek Claxton, low plus mid, a nice drives. He had nice moves well, good vision. I thought he did good. He's a 222 with good grades. Just going down the list here. J. Anthony Bearden, 224 from Calise in Arizona. Great defensive player. Still not determined, kind of what level he's on. Miles Bird, who I saw a lot of this spring. Calvin Bird, a McDonald's All-American from Villanova. Son, who plays at Lincoln of Stockton. Good GPA. Can play a little on the ball, off the ball. He can shoot it. Boy, Devin, he really raised his stock to the level of now even a Villanova and those level schools are watching him. I think before the live period, it was maybe Big West, Mountain West. His recruitment is shot up quite a bit. Mater Dei has a new inside man, T. Bartlett, 224. Big kid. He kind of a Derek Newton's brother. Kind of reminds me a little bit of Max Allen, our guy Max Allen. Big, strong kid. Kid to watch in the future. Modesto Christian will be back for the Section 7 finals. They got a lot of good young players, Devin. I mean, I could name off a bunch. Jamari Phillips, who's Jaden Phillips' younger brother. He's one of the best 224s on the West Coast, right at the top with Zion Sansley, Isaiah Ehelim, that group. Scorer, good guard skill. They have a guy who played JV last year, Devin, Bryant Davins. He really made a name for himself in this event. Point guard, vision, playmaker. He's a 223, about 6'2". And they have a big, strong inside kid, Manasi Atiti, 6'6", power forward, strong kid, moves well for his size, scores. Ben Schultzberg and Dusty Stromer, I thought, did a really good job for Notre Dame of Sherman Oaks. They were one of the teams that coaches were really watching closely. Ben was very aggressive, shooting it well, nice stroke, shot maker. He was really hitting on the game I saw on Saturday. Dusty Stromer, athletic. I think Dusty obviously is a higher level, as a 223, is a higher level recruit. But he did really well this past week, and I know his offers are going to go up. And they have a guy who came over, I think, from Alamany, Devin, Jaden Harper.
Yeah.
Jaden is about 6'6", maybe 6'7", powerful rebound. He's a really good rebounder, instinctual rebounder. I thought he was playing with Notre Dame. They just got a good team. They're going to be very good. Obviously, Koa Pete, the 225 from Perry, Arizona, who had a lot of buzz, got even more offers. We all know about him. He was at the Pangos camp. I'm in the R's now, Devin. Again, I'm just going alphabetically. I'm just trying to rattle right through this. I'm just trying to give our viewers and listeners as many names as possible.
I think, Ronnie, I think if people are still here, they're more than happy to keep listening to the names.
Yeah, they want to hear the names. I know some coaches and some of the guys who are longtime listeners who listen to the first 100 episodes want to get some of this. Peyton White, Chance Stevens from Riverside Poly. Is Chance Stevens committed to Rhode Island, Devin? Is that accurate?
Yeah, Chance Stevens is committed to Rhode Island. I think he took an official visit there recently, but yeah, he's committed. And then Peyton White, formerly of Corona Centennial, had a strong high school season for Riverside Poly too.
Yeah, he's good wing, nice body, strokes it pretty well. Maybe sneak into a mid-major, low major plus. I don't know if you agree with that, Devin, but moves well.
Yeah,
and played well. Our guy Benny Geeler from Rolling Hills had a couple good games. Again, he's low major. Maybe he thrives at a high D too. Maybe I'm way off. Maybe he's very good, but I think he's on that level. He's very good. High school, had a really good season. St. Mary's of Phoenix, one of the better teams in that state. Jason Fettenot is a good athlete, a player people want to look at. Styles Phipps, 224 point guard, did very well. Garrison Phelps, pull-up catch-and-shoot guy. I thought he played pretty well. St. John Bosco was in the regional. They won their region, but they sent their lower-level guys, and they're going to be a team to watch. LZ Harrington, Devin, that's a name you're going to be talking about for a long time on this pod, and a lot of our stories and a lot of our analyzations going forward. 225, kind of a combo point guard, maybe 6'4", 6'5". He can be very good. At the end of the day, he'll be up there with like the Koa Pete's of the 225s. Obviously, we don't know what the rest of the country has in store yet for 225, but those guys are worth watching. St. Bernard's won their division, one of the top 3 divisions. Again, there wasn't officially like silver, bronze, gold, but I kind of broke it out by these are the 2 top 3 divisions. Obviously, Centennial won the top one. Saints won the second one, and St. Bernard beat Desert Vista 69-59 in the third, what I would call the third division. JQ Strong, shot it pretty well. Did a very good job. I thought Tyler Rollison is, just a bucket getter. We know all about Tyler Rollison. Mid-major plus, maybe with some upside, Devin. I think that where he'd be. Jason Hart Jr. was playing for them. Jason Hart Jr. obviously wasn't with that team last year. And they have Darren Mitchell's a well-known player. And they won their division, so they obviously played pretty good. I didn't see them all. They obviously didn't get to see more than about one game, but they did well. Rounding out some of the guys at this event, Thunder Ridge from Colorado had Andrew Crawford, good prospect, 224. Again, sticking with that younger theme. Good decision making, but he's going to be a good prospect down the line. Rounding out the last 2 teams, Vanden, Takai, Emerson Hardy, Vanden up north. True 4, maybe Big West type Devin, very good player. Young player Tyler Thompson, good passing. He hit a deep shot that I saw that I really turned my eyes. He's working on his overall skill level, but Tyler's about a 6'4", small forward at Vanden up by Travis Air Force Base in Northern California. And then West Ranch, again, sticking with the young guys. James Evans, just a monster high school player. Bit of a maybe 4. He's obviously got to work on his wing skills, but at this level, he's just a powerful player. Bryce Cofield, 225. And obviously his brother played for West Ranch and previously for Birmingham. Contact guy, creates contact. Andrew Meadow, who's got probably one of the best motors of any player in this event and in Southern California. Andrew Meadows, 223. Just that's all I could say about him. His motor, he's just so strong. West Ranch just has a really strong, physically strong player. So that's kind of rounds up. I'll see more of the teams that I didn't get to see that weekend. I'll see them this upcoming weekend, and there's about 7 new teams that will be there that weren't there previously. Reardon, I think Colony's going. Rebay is going to be there that second weekend. San Joaquin Memorial, Central Catholic of Oregon, and Rolling Hills Prep. Things coming back for a second dip.
Got you. Yeah, a lot of good names there, Ronnie, and a lot of guys that we've known about in Southern California for a while now that are getting some recognition, some pub that they wouldn't normally get, which is great.
Yeah, that's what's great about the Scholastic period.
Yeah, for sure. And real quick, Ronnie, before we log off for this episode, let's go through and kind of recognize the regional champions from the various divisions. Sure. Obviously, Etiwanda. And I got to correct myself because the final score of that game was 68-65, not 65-62. I don't know why that was stuck in my head like that, but it was.
It was a 3-point game, basically. Yeah, so they were trying to tie it up on the last possession.
Correct. Yeah, so 68-65 Etiwanda win. Shout out to Coach Dave Kleckner and his first regional title. He's probably already back in Chicago, hanging out at Wrigley Field, watching baseball games right now, as he does every summer. But then, like you said, Division I AA, St. John Bosco defeated Rebay Academy 70-68. In Division II AA, or 1A would be Santa Fe Christian defeated Capistrano Valley. Shout out to Hayden Gray, point guard for Santa Fe Christian. He was named CIF San Diego section, first team all San Diego section. So he had a great year. Santa Margarita beat Crean Lutheran 66-53 in Division II AA. Our guy Jake Blazona, who was a guest on our show, Ronnie, during the pandemic, 0 points, 14 assists for our guy Jake Blazona.
Wow, that's true distributing.
True point guard, true distributor. So hats off to Jake there. In Division 2A, Mater Dei Catholic defeated Central, I believe that's a Fresno.
Yeah.
67-50. Melo Sanchez, he's going to reclassify Ronnie and go to Veritas for a year. But he's a potential high D2, low D1 player after his reclass year.
I like Melo Sanchez.
Yeah, he had a great season. Division 3 AA. I'll stop after Division 4 AA, Ronnie. But Division 3 AA's Aquinas from San Bernardino, small school out in San Bernardino, beat La Costa Canyon.
22-1, great season they had.
Yeah, of Carlsbad, 57-41, and Aquinas has a couple good players, Nick Hopkins and point guard. Sheldon Grant. His name will slip me for a second, but Sheldon Grant played for IEBP. Both really good players. And then 4AA Ronnie, our guy Terry Tucker down at San Ysidro. No Mikey, no Jurian Dixon. San Ysidro beat Linfield Christian 73-71 in the 4AA SoCal Regional Championship game. So shout out to those guys and shout out to those teams for sticking with just the oddities and the weirdness of this season and persevering through all that stuff. So it was good to see a few regional titles crowned last weekend.
Oh yeah. Those shout out to all those teams that won the regionals. Obviously, the North didn't get a chance, but glad the South got a chance. And it's been a little bit of relief. Got to get all the end of the year honors out there, Devin. The final rankings. Obviously, we went over the state rankings earlier in the show, and Centennial comes in at 22 in the final Fab 50, 21-2. Etiwanda jumps in again after falling out to the first loss to Sierra Canyon. So they're at number 30, 14-2. They finished their season. Torrey Pines, a couple spots behind. They fall to 32, 30-1. They were, trying to put themselves in there with the Bill Waltons and some of the other Helix teams and some of the other all-time greats, 30-1. And then the 4th team, we kept Sierra Canyon in there. They're 16-2. They did have a good season at number 40. So shout out to all the teams across the country that had a good season. And as we close the season out, I'm sure we're going to talk a little bit about that. We'll wrap that up in another Ballseye Podcast Network show. We'll talk about the end of the season, the national teams, and talk about the Fab 50 national champions. It's been one hell of a season. It's late June. And I want to give a shout out to Matt King and all the other people that produced and put together the Section 7 at State Farm Arena. I mean, what a venue, what a big, 11 divisions, over 190 teams. They kept it well going, well smooth. Obviously, you had some overtime games, so some games ran late, but those are small little things. The coaches got a lot out of it. They're going to go back to the Section 7 finals this week. It's going to be at Brophy Prep. A lot of the champions in those 11 divisions are back, along with those teams that I mentioned: San Joaquin Memorial, Coronado, Corona Centennial. It's going back. Campo Lindo, Gorman, Reardon, Sarah, Harvard Westlake. A bunch of teams will be back, so we'll be able to talk a little more. I'm going to focus on the teams that I didn't see as much, and then we'll wrap it up in our next In the Paint show with, we'll break down kind of what the Scholastic period meant, and then we'll break down maybe what's going to happen in the future a little bit. We'll save that for the next pod, though.
Yeah, it's been a crazy year, and we appreciate you guys sticking with us and hanging with us during this time, tuning into the In the Paint show or On the Rise, our new show where we break down prospects on an individual basis. But I think that's going to do it for this episode of the In the Paint show, episode number 100. We reached the century mark, and like Ronnie said, we've had some great guests over the last couple of years that we've been doing this, and
we're very grateful.
Head to Ballseye Podcast Network wherever you get your podcasts, and all the shows will be there, so you guys can listen back to whichever ones you want to listen to. Check out the titles, the headlines, the descriptions. It tells you everything you need to know about what we're talking about in each show. But Ronnie, until the next episode, which will be number 101 of the In the Paint show, we are going to sign off.